So, in the month of August, I ended up reading 10 books, which is so crazy because I usually only read five. And for a while, I was consistently only reading 5 books a month. And I thought I literally couldn't read more than 5 books. So, but I think a big reason why is because I read way faster on ebooks on my phone than physical books. So, that's a big reason. And I actually have more time before the month is over, so I might read 10 books. I had a couple of DNFs, but I'm only going to talk about one. Um, I'm going to start off with that one. I tried to read Love Interest by Claire Gilmore because Haley Fam recommended it. So I think I only got to chapter 2 or 3. And for me, humor is really big in a book. So the humor was not working at all for me. And it had a ton of emphasis on social media, which I cannot stand reading about social media in a book. And so those are a couple reasons. And I just put the book down after this particular scene. So I'm going to describe a scene. So if you don't want to hear about that, go ahead and skip ahead. It's kind of at the beginning of the book. I don't know the main character's name because I didn't get very far in the book. But she actually gets touched inappropriately by her boss. So she's assaulted by her boss. And she doesn't do anything about it. She just takes it and just doesn't say anything. And I'm just like, I need a character to stand up for themselves. Like, this is kind of ridiculous. Like, it wasn't even a situation where she was going to lose her job or anything. She should have told someone. So it was kind of early on in the book. I'm like, I don't want to read about, like, a completely spineless character. So I was just like, that was kind of like the last straw for me. So, yeah, I really don't think, I don't think people should read this book. I do not recommend it. But yeah, I wasn't sure to talk about DNFs, but I think I would. So I will go in order in which I read books this month. So the first book I read was Check and Mate by Ali Hazelwood. I read a ton of Ali Hazelwood this month. So she was one of my favorite authors. So to give my rating up front, I would have to say this would be a 3-star read. At first, I thought it was a 4-star read. But then I lowered it down. I listened to it as an audiobook, which was a fun experience. I kind of like listening to YA books on audiobook. It's less, you don't have to pay attention. And for me, it's just more of a relaxed experience. So I'd play this when I was going to sleep, and it's pretty short. And yeah, I really enjoyed it. I thought the audiobook was great. I listened to this on Libby for free. So yeah, I really recommend using Libby. So this, I don't know, should I talk about the negatives first, I guess? So this is about Mallory. Okay. Don't want to sound too negative, but well, first off, it took a while for Mallory to interact with Nolan. A big chunk of the book is her avoiding Nolan. So yeah, that was kind of one of the reasons why I didn't love it. So yeah, it's kind of frustrating when a character is trying so hard to avoid another character. It's ugh. So yeah, that was kind of irritating. I didn't like how Mallory, I mean, every human is different. And you can't write books based off of generalizations. But Mallory is a teenage girl, and before she met Nolan, she thinks that sex is only a physical thing. And not generalizing, all women are different, but I don't know many teenage girls who only think of sex as a physical thing. I know that's not but teenage girls specifically, I'm sure they would have emotional connections to who they sleep with. So that was, that's not Allie Hazelwood's fault or anything, but I don't know. It just didn't sit that right with me. It's like, why would she be so jaded and so closed off to making emotional connections at such a young age? So that was kind of, I don't know, that's kind of just weird. But yeah, I didn't mind that she was sleeping with people because young people do, and it's all YA books can't just be, everyone is celibate, because that's not true for teenagers. So yeah, I'm kind of in two minds about it. And then I didn't like, I don't like this in a ton of books, when the guy tells a girl that he likes her, and then he does all these things. So in Check and Meet, Nolan would go to a lot of chess competitions with her and spend a lot of time with her and just enjoy being around her. And every day she'd be like, why are you here? Like, it's not like he likes me. So yeah, that's probably my number one problem with romance books, when the main character acts like, or she can't understand that the male lead likes her, when it's very clear and he's told her that he likes her. So that's kind of like my number one annoying thing in romance books, when the female lead is like oblivious, when he literally is spending all his free time with you. Of course he likes you, he's always around you because he wants to be around you. So yeah, that was kind of just an annoying thing, just how she was avoiding Nolan, and how she was like, she couldn't wrap her head around the fact that he liked her, even though he made it really clear that he liked her. So that's just that's like my number one annoying thing in romance books. So anyway, well, we'll bring the topic up when it happens in another romance book, which it probably will, because it happens all the time. So the next book I read was The Poppy War by R.F. Kuang. This is a fantasy book, and it is about a young girl who has to go through this elite training institute to become one of the war leaders or high-ranking generals. And it's interesting because she comes from a poor background, and so it's nice to see someone like a girl who grew up in poverty trying to take control of her life and make something else of it. Then everyone thinks and everyone expects from her. So yeah, this is really well written. A sign of a good writer is if the audience cares about pretty much all the characters. They don't have to love all the characters, but if they care about the majority of the characters, that's a really good sign. So that was the case for this. I give this 4 stars because I don't enjoy like war novels, and so yeah, kind of the subject matter, it's not really up my alley, but I wanted to give it a try. I'm glad I read it. It was really well written. I enjoyed it. I loved the characters. But yeah, I don't think I'll continue with this series, but yeah, I hope to read a lot more. Okay, I plan to read a lot more from R.F. Kuang. Then I read All Roads Lead Here, which is by Mariana Zapata. I gave this 4 stars. It is a slow burn romance. It's about a girl who returns to a small town in Colorado that she grew up in. Her name's Aurora. And after her and her ex split, she goes back to her hometown to learn more about herself and to learn more about her mother, who passed away. And so I also read this as an ebook on Libby. I think all of these are books that I read on Libby. So yeah, I really appreciate that. My critique for this book is it's fine that any physical intimacy was like way at the end of the book. But what's not good is that the male lead, Tobias, he's not in the beginning of the book. Like, there's a difference between slow burn and then the guy just not being in the book. So that's kind of just like, just because you want to make it slow burn doesn't mean that he just shouldn't be in the beginning. So yeah, I did not like that he was not very present in the beginning of the book. So that was a big issue that I had with the book. But overall, it's like, I don't know why. It just gave me a cozy feeling. Maybe that's because it's small town. But yeah, I've never read her before, so I'm glad I gave her a try. I really enjoyed her book. Then I read Love Theoretically by Ali Hazelwood. I gave this 5 stars. I like this a lot better than the other books. But yeah, I mean, she's really good at rom-coms. They have to be funny, they have to be romantic and have tension. And so the 2 main characters are Elsie and Jack, who are in 2 different sides of the physics world. Jack is an experimental physicist and Elsie is a theoretical physicist. And so they explore their relationship while Elsie is battling for a job in the field. And they kind of have a feud because of the 2 different worlds of physics. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. I don't know. There's not much to say. But I just could not stop reading it, and that's a sign of a good book. And yeah, I had a really great tension between Elsie and Jack. Highly recommend. Then I read Plot Twist by Aaron Lewison. I'm not going to talk about this book too much. I didn't like it. I had to give it 2 stars. It's in a series of like celebrity romance. So yeah, I'm not really into celebrity romance books, so that's a sign. But yeah, my issues with it was the humor didn't land for me. Again, a lot of social media. And in the book, like, social media gets her like into trouble, and then she keeps putting her life on social media. I'm like, why would you want to keep putting your life on social media? So yeah, that I just don't like social media in books. And there was no build up, no tension between the 2 characters. It was kind of like spiced right away. So yeah, it wasn't great, but honestly, it was better than Love Interest. So after I read Love Interest, I'm like, Plot Twist is the best book ever. So it's really crazy how you think a book's bad and then you read a book that's way worse and then you're like, oh, the other book was good. So that was really crazy. So I got into the Meet and Mishap series. I don't remember what the name of the series is. And I read That Time I Got Drunk and Saved a Demon by Kimberly Lemming. And she is my new favorite author. The key to my heart is just having it all. You have to have huge vocabulary where I'm learning new words. You have to have action, adventure, comedy, romance. It's just like everything was out of the park. So it's just, not only was the humor on, which is another sign of a good author, but just everything worked. And one specific thing about her writing that worked was the writing is so descriptive. She uses all different types of sensory details to describe things. So the main character, Cinnamon, is a cinnamon farmer, and she does a lot of cooking. So she describes the taste and the smell and the sounds, and just it's a full sensory experience. And you're just wrapped into the world. You want to know what happens, and the action is actually pretty like gory. So that was more than I was expecting. But yeah, there is like a lot of violence, so be aware of that. But every book in this series has a sort of adventure, and that they have to go on in order to save someone or save the town or something like that. So it's a ton of adventure and action. But yeah, it was just amazing. But yeah, an excellent book for me. It's funny, it's so interesting, and it has great romance. But if you like spice, you probably shouldn't read these. But it was just so amazing, well written, and I learned a ton of new words. So it's like it has it all. So I guess I should just go right into the next book because I read the sequel right after that, which is That Time I Got Drunk and Yeeted a Love Potion at a Werewolf. It's a lot of words. This one I had to take a star off because it kind of, there was more going on in the first book. And the second book is more about Brie, the cheese vendor, or the cheese farmer, relationship with the werewolf Felix. So it was more focused on their relationship. There still was adventure, but the adventure didn't really come into play and like till the later half of the book. But yeah, I really loved it. But yeah, it was 4 stars for me, but still really excellent, and I recommend it. Then I read The Rom-Commers by Catherine Senner, which was a letdown. You have an option on Libby to, you can hit the notification bell, and I hit that as soon as this came out because it's a relatively new release. So I was able to read it kind of early, and I really liked the beginning, and then I did not like the end. So honestly, like, it could have been a good book, but it just fell off for me. It's about Emma, who her ex-boyfriend hooks her up with a writing job with a big time writer who's struggling to write a screenplay for a romance movie because he's not a big fan of rom-coms, and we learn he doesn't really like believe in love. And so the first issue is that she moves in with him. Now, she did not need to move in with him. Like, this book would have been fine if she lived in a hotel and he was in his house. Like, you don't need to always move in together. So that was the first issue. The second issue was the romance was really forced because Emma was like, I'm gonna make Charlie, this big time Hollywood movie writer, believe in love. And she like forced it. She was like forcing every single romantic situation. It was not like natural. It was all one-sided. It was all coming from Emma, and she was just forcing to happen. She's like, I'm gonna make you believe in love, and it was just like so forced, one-sided. It was really far-fetched. There's like an emergency situation that happens with them that I won't spoil it, but I'm like, that would never happen in real life. It was really cheesy. There was no tension between the two characters because it was all forced. She's a big fan of his, so it was kind of just giving like fan is obsessed with Charlie, and it was not like they weren't like on equal ground. And the whole half of the book, he was really rude to her, and she kind of just didn't care about that. So yeah, there's a lot of issues. So yeah, this is a big letdown. I still gave 3 stars because it's still well written and I want to read her books, but yeah, I'll just leave it at that. After that, I really wanted a sports romance, so I read Big Shot by Kat Mizera, and it's free on Google Play. So if you want to read like sports romances or just random free romances, you have to like dig through the bad ones, but there are some good ones. So I give this 4 stars after reading Rom-Commers. I was like, this is way better than Rom-Commers. The relationship wasn't forced. So yeah, there's not that much to say. It's just hockey romance. So if you're hockey romance, it's kind of just, it does the job. So yeah, I gave it 4 stars. And I don't know, this is good. There's not really much to say. So, but yeah, it wasn't a life-changing book, but it was a romance and it was better than the rom-commers. So yeah, now that I'm like talking about all these books, I didn't love a lot of these books. The main one, the best 2 were Love Theoretically and The Time I Got Drunk and Saved a Demon. So yeah, the other books didn't really do it. So anyway, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.